Look at Mr. VIP rehearsing his entrance, Maya says into her phone as Victor Langford strides through the revolving door like the building owes him. He shrugs off his coat mid-step and lets it fall. Leah Carter slides in, catches the sleeve before it kisses marble, and folds it over her arm. Victor snaps his fingers, sharp as a starter pistol. Head table now? And clear the amateurs. Travis cackles for the stream and tilts the camera so viewers can watch the snap land. Victor moves like a weather front, pressure dropping as he goes. Leah guides him to the reserved chair, steady, precise. He sits without looking at her, his eyes settling on her name tag like it's an offense. Tell me, he says, skimming her uniform. Have you ever served a man who makes more in a day than you will in 10 lifetimes? Leah sets a menu by his elbow, unbothered. I've served a lot of men who think time owes them, she says. He smirks. And, at the next table, Mrs. Waverly leans toward her friend, pearls flashing. Money doesn't buy class, she murmurs, loud enough for phones to hear. Maya's stream catches it, chat bursting with clapping emojis and delighted cruelty. Travis schemes comments about entitlement and elevators that go only up. Victor pretends the room is humming for him and not at him. He snaps the menu shut so hard the crystal shivers. I'll have the rarest bottle in your cellar. If you don't know which one that is, fetch someone who does. Leah asks what region he prefers. He savors the chance to teach. Do you even know what terroir means? Soil, slope, weather, the patience only money buys. Real wine is inherited, not poured. Leah says she'll confirm the allocation. Don't waste my minutes, he adds. Daniel Cross appears with a folded wine list and a face trying not to flinch. Perhaps the domain you liked last year is out, sir. We could. Victor flicks 2 fingers, dismissing him like a gnat. Stay in your place. Replaceable men don't give advice. Daniel swallows the sting and steps back, but not away, a man chained to proximity. Maya whispers to her viewers that they've stumbled into a live case study. Travis adds the chat is split. Half think this is standard billionaire theater, half want to throw bread. Phones lift all over the room. The band's swing turns cautious. Mr. Collins, the hotel manager, watches from a column with the neutrality of a referee who hopes not to blow a whistle. Ethan and Julia Moore exchange a look that says please, not tonight. Julia leans to be heard. She's doing her job just fine, she tells Victor. Dinner's better when we give people space. Victor doesn't spare her a glance. People like her shouldn't be seen, he says, satin and steel, let alone defended. Ethan's hand finds Julia's under the table, apology pressed into palm. Victor laughs, high and bright. The help? He says, gesturing at Leah, dressed in borrowed dignity. The line slices the air. Maya slow-mos it for the stream, captioning the curl of his mouth. Eyes sharpen across the room. Leah returns with a bottle and 2 glasses on a polished tray, an island of order moving toward weather. We're out of your first choice, she says evenly. But the seller recommends this. Balanced, generous, right for the menu. Victor inspects the label like he's reading a test he plans to fail on purpose. You're guessing, he says, performing confidence to cover a gap. Leah wets his glass, turns her wrist, and lets the wine breathe. She doesn't tremble. She doesn't act small. He leans back, pleased with the stage he's built. Be careful, he says. I won't be insulted by someone who wears a name tag as a shield. Leah angles the glass toward him. Names help us keep track, she says. Some people need them. His smile thins. He glances at Maya's lens as if it were a mirror. You're lucky, he says. I tip like weather when service knows its place. Daniel edges close, apology in every bone. If we choose a second pick, sir, we can avoid. Victor cuts him off. If I wanted counsel, I'd buy a person who knows how to give it. Daniel nods, suffocating something like a warning. His phone vibrates again. He doesn't look. Not yet. Leah wipes a ring of condensation from the cloth with a quiet swipe. How would you like your steak? She asks. Any allergies the kitchen should know? I'm allergic to incompetence. Medium rare, she says, almost amused. Travis whispers that she just translated an insult into an order. Maya murmurs that her calm could run a city. Victor decides to quiz. Spell terroir, he says, savoring the dare. Leah doesn't engage. Will you be tasting alone? She asks. Or should I pour for your table? He waves a casual hand, including the room. At my level, tasting is redundant. I already know what things are worth. Leah says value and taste are not twins. He taps the stem of his glass, impatient rhythm looking for applause. Maya frames Leah's face for the stream. Cool, focused, the look of someone who knows where the line is and keeps standing on it. Comments stack. Protect this woman. Who is this guy? Why do men think volume equals authority? The band slides into something cheerful. It sounds like a lie. Victor studies Leah like she's a problem he can solve with pressure. Here's the lesson, he says. Power enters first, eats first, and never waits. Power that can't wait is just hunger, she answers, soft enough to pull ears closer. He asks if she enjoys testing limits. Limits make service safe, she says. I'm fond of safety. He sips, grimaces, performs disdain. Mrs. Waverly raises her voice a fraction. Confidence that needs witnesses, she says, is just anxiety in a tux. Small laughter halos her table. Mr. Collins steps 2 paces nearer and stops, hands clasped, a portrait hung to settle nerves. Victor shows his cufflinks as if they are credentials and says he's tired of being cast as the villain by people who don't know altitude. Leah replies that altitude makes some people dizzy. He calls her mouthy. She says she's specific. He tells her to remember he signs checks big enough to teach her the shape of gratitude. Gratitude doesn't look like a signature, she says, and Julia smiles into her water. Daniel's phone rattles again, harder, like news knocking. He peeks at the screen, the color drains from his face. He steps forward, caught between fear and protocol. Sir, there's, later, Victor says, not even turning. Daniel's jaw tightens. He doesn't retreat this time. Victor gestures to Leah's name tag, making it a prop. Evidence, he says, that I'm the guest, and you're the furniture. Leah lifts the bottle, steady. I'm the service, she says. The guest decides whether he acts like one. He leans in, voice a rehearsed hush. Consequences teach fast. So do boundaries, she says, the same tone she uses to confirm orders. He chuckles for the camera. You think you can jab me and keep your job? Jobs are defined by the work, she says. Right now mine is to pour your wine and take your order. Then pour, he says, and try not to spill your attitude into the bottle. She pours, the small wrist turn catching the final drop. The wine opens. He inhales like a judge. Relax, she says, not unkind. I serve what's available, not what's imaginary. She could stop there. Instead she adds, almost a thought spoken aloud. Funny. I thought I was serving an employee. The word rings clear. The room holds its breath. A ripple of disbelief moves table to table. Did she say employee? And retreats as people decide she misspoke. Victor blinks, then counter-smiles, the kind you use to correct a child. I'm sorry, what did you just call me? Leah meets his eyes, calm as a level. Would you like a taste, she asks, or a full pour? The chat on Maya's screen surges. Hashtags bloom like confetti. Travis reads one that says hashtag borrowed dignity, and another voting Leah mayor of the ballroom. Ethan leans toward Julia and whispers he's never seen someone so calm under a microscope. Julia answers that calm is what happens when you know who you are. Mrs. Waverly taps her spoon once against her glass. Not a toast, just a notification. Mr. Collins moves one step forward, then stills, authority in reserve. Daniel's phone buzzes again, insistent, relentless. Leah's hand remains steady. Victor inhales like he owns the air and lets it out for effect. He laughs to reset the mood, a sound meant to erase the line. Let's not pretend you, he begins, but Daniel steps closer with a phone that won't stop vibrating, and Leah keeps the bottle poised over Crystal while Victor says, employee? Do you even? Victor tries to finish, but Daniel's voice slices through with an apology and a phone lighting the tablecloth. He asks Victor to read. His hand trembles under the linen. The headline is bare and cold. Langford Holdings acquired in surprise deal. Victor Langford retained AS employee representative. Victor blinks like the screen stuttered. He says it's rumor. Daniel says 3 outlets have it, and legal confirmed an hour ago. Victor laughs without humor and says real acquisitions don't close during dessert. Phones wake like a sudden garden of fireflies. Maya leans into her lens and whispers that the plot just twisted itself. Leah doesn't retreat. She steadies the bottle above Victor's glass while he reads his name shrunken to a caption under someone else's banner. He goes still. He asks how this could happen without him. Daniel, gentle, Says the board kept it quiet to avoid market ripples. Victor says they wouldn't dare. Daniel says they did. Leah breathes once and asks if he'll still be having the steak. Mr. Collins arrives, neutral as a piano tuner. He introduces himself and places a folio by Victor's plate. He explains the hotel received an updated registry from the acquiring firm. On the line with Victor's name, the title now reads Employee Representative, Helios Group. At the bottom is a sentence requesting all staff extend customary courtesies to executives and employee representatives of the new ownership. Mr. Collins points to the request, not to embarrass but to anchor the moment in ink. Victor says he does not answer to hotel staff. Mr. Collins says no one is asking him to, only to acknowledge the change so the evening can be managed with clarity. Leah tips a measured inch of wine into Victor's glass. Conversations dim. The band misses a note. Mrs. Waverly rests her chin on her hand and lets her pearls swing like punctuation. She observes that some crowns are made of paper and candle heat. Then she smiles toward Leah and says it appears the waitress outranks him in composure, which is the only rank that lasts past midnight. The line travels and lands. Victor says the paperwork is provisional and the headline reckless. Mr. Collins replies that provisional or not, the notice governs tonight. Maya reads the chat as it blooms. Live parable, dignity masterclass. Who is Leah? Travis keeps Victor and the document in the same plane, with Leah steady in the opposite frame. He whispers they're trending already. At the Moore's table, Ethan watches. Julia doesn't gloat. She says, quietly, that karma wears heels tonight. Ethan laughs before he can stop. Victor hears the laugh and misreads it as envy from cheap seats. He says the jealous are always loud when a giant kneels. He turns to Leah and demands an apology for calling him an employee. Leah sets the bottle on the tray and meets his eyes, unhurried. She says she didn't insult him. She used the accurate term. Employment isn't shame. Work is work, whether you sign checks or read the memo that says someone else signed yours. He tells her to watch her tone. She answers that tone is management's job, service handles delivery. Daniel says they should prepare a statement for the stream because the narrative is writing itself without their help. Victor says he doesn't answer to ring lights. Maya murmurs that the camera is answering for him. The chat throws up hashtag employee Victor and hashtag waitress wins. Mr. Collins asks if Victor would prefer a quieter room while calls are made. Victor refuses, mistaking volume for control. Mr. Collins nods and asks Leah if she needs support. She says she is fine to continue service. Victor says he will not be managed by waitstaff. Mrs. Waverly suggests that being managed might be restful at his altitude. He pretends not to hear and orders Daniel to fetch someone with authority. Daniel steps away to dial. Leah moves to Ethan and Julia, tops their glasses with a clean wrist turn, and asks if everything is to their liking. Julia thanks her and says the courage looked effortless. Leah says it was not. It was practice. Ethan says the city could use more of it. Leah nods once and returns to the main table without pausing at Victor's gaze. Maya narrates softly that this is the image, Leah gliding past, Victor moored in his chair, the paper that shrank his title lying like a placemat he can't fold away. Travis freezes the frame on his phone, then restarts it in slow motion. Chat clips it into edits, crowns sliding off, captions blooming, duet videos with strangers raising glasses to the new reality. Victor reaches for an old trick. He jokes he could buy the hotel, the stream, the comments themselves. The silence answers with its own currency. Daniel returns and says the board wants him to stop talking until counsel speaks. Victor stares at the wine as if it caused the fire. Leah re-enters his circle only to lift the tray. She asks if he'll be staying for dessert or if she should bring the check. He asks if she finds any of this funny. She says no, it's work, and the way she says it makes the room listen. Maya tells her viewers they're watching a recalibration in real time. The comments answer with applause that feels audible. Victor inhales to launch something, apology or threat undecided. Leah waits, not filling the air, hands quiet at her sides. The stream leans in. Mr. Collins watches the table the way you watch a glass at the edge of a counter, ready to catch what falls. Across the room, phones rise like a constellation. Viewer counts tick upward on Maya's screen, comments sprinting faster than she can read. Travis grins, whispering that the clip is already being mirrored. Daniel murmurs that legal is on the line and waiting. Mr. Collins says staff have been briefed. Julia squeezes Ethan's hand. Victor finally clears his throat and says, "You will apologize." Victor tries to land, but the word scrapes and won't stick. Daniel steps in, not deferential anymore, voice low and clear as a gavel. He says the board's counsel is on the line and the directive is simple: no statements, no threats, no theatrics. He adds, almost softly, that he is transferring to Helios at midnight as chief of staff to the incoming COO. He slides his access badge onto the linen with a small click that somehow echoes. Around them, the room recalibrates. People don't cheer. They breathe out. Victor blinks at the badge like it betrayed him. He tells Daniel he made him, that gratitude has an interest rate. Daniel replies that he kept schedules, not secrets. Dignity is not an expense line. He says he won't stand between the consequences and the man who ordered them. Someone near the bar murmurs that even his secretary left him, and the phrase spreads because it matches what everyone sees. Orbit broken, moon drifting. Maya tilts her camera to catch the confession and the badge in the same frame. The chat writes its own chorus. Loyalty has limits. The help just walked away from the helmsman. Travis whispers to his viewers that this is the moment stories snap, when the quiet one changes sides. Mr. Collins remains a measured presence, stationing a staffer at the edge of the ballroom to keep the human tide from swelling too close. Victor steadies his breath and tries one last shape of power, the paternal kind. He says Daniel will regret this, that no one else will tolerate mistakes the way he did. Daniel meets the gaze that wrote his calendar for years and says that what Victor called tolerance was fear wearing a tie. He turns, pockets empty, and steps back, but not behind. He is to the side now, a man who has collected his shadow. Leah enters that small silence carrying a single rocks glass and a bottle she did not choose for Victor but for the room. Something even, unfussy, steady. She sets the glass in front of him, not like an offering, not like a dare, simply as a final item on a list that needs finishing. He watches her hand and finds no tremor. He says she humiliated him in his house. She says this is not his house. He says she called him an employee like it was a demotion. She says it was a description. He reaches for the bottle to pour his own drink, to prove that he can move something without permission. Leah's hand moves first with the economy of a morning shift and the practice of 100 nights, a quick half-ounce over the ice, a gentle turn to cut the stream. She doesn't look at the phones. She doesn't look at the room. She looks at the task that exists between them and closes it cleanly. Then, quiet enough to be private and somehow heard by everyone, she says, "Relax, Mr. Langford. It's just part of the job. Employees serve guests, remember that. It should be small. It isn't." The sentence lands like a level placed on a tilting table and shows everyone what straight looks like. For a beat, the band stops pretending to play. Then applause starts in the back, not violent, not triumphant, just insistent enough to be an answer. Ethan lifts his palms first. Julia follows. Mrs. Waverly doesn't clap. She taps her glass once, permission disguised as etiquette, and the room completes the sound. Victor flushes the color of a man discovering the elevator only goes down tonight. He stands too fast, steadies on the chair back, and finds the camera again. He says the narrative is unfair, the timing coordinated, the staff insolent. Mr. Collins politely suggests that if Mr. Langford needs privacy, a side room is available with phones removed at his request. Victor declines because refusal is the only motion left that looks like control. Maya keeps filming but, for once, stops narrating. Leah has moved on. She checks a table on the far side, returns a dropped fork, nods to the kitchen runner to fire entrees, and listens to a question from a guest who wants the vegetarian option they didn't plan to order. She fixes a problem mid-walk, thanks someone for their patience like it isn't a favor, and only then circles back to the center like someone balancing a tray you can't see. Daniel lingers at the edge of Victor's cluster and realizes he doesn't need to be closer. He tells Mr. Collins he will coordinate with Helios in the morning. Mr. Collins thanks him and then turns to Leah, voice pitched for her and no one else, and says she handled a volatile situation with textbook composure and will receive the hotel's quarterly service award. He thinks that is a small thing compared to what she just did, but it is the instrument he has and he uses it. She nods once, not for the applause but for the acknowledgement that speaks her language. Work seen, work named. Mrs. Waverly rises, not bothering with her cane because she never needed it, and intercepts Leah with a card. She says she runs a foundation that trains hospitality staff for management, that she knows the director, and that talent should climb because teams are built from the calmest person in the room. Leah accepts the card like a tray, careful, grateful without collapse. She says she'll think on it after she clocks out. The answer delights Mrs. Waverly, who adores a boundary more than a bow. Ethan and Julia ask for their check and add a tip that looks like a small apology for the whole evening. Julia tells Leah that steadiness is contagious and thanks her for lending some. Leah says steadiness is a team sport and credits the bussers, the kitchen, the manager who didn't let the room tilt. She points, with a half-smile, to the runner who caught a falling plate. Recognition spreads like water on marble, finding all the low places. Travis whispers that they should ask for a quick interview, but Maya shakes her head and records Leah, saying no with a polite smile that is not a soundbite. In the comments, people write that the refusal is the quote. Mr. Collins's staff begins guiding attention back to dessert, to coffee, to the ordinary rituals that repair a broken night. The band finds a standard and plays it honestly this time. Victor signs something because people are watching, and leaving without signing would look like loss. The pen scratches. He doesn't read the numbers. He folds the receipt like it owes him and sets it down too hard. He looks at Leah, calculating whether a parting shot would restore even an inch. It won't. He knows it. He exhales and abandons the sentence he can't make land. He walks toward the exit with the posture of a man who just learned what doors feel like when they swing one way. Daniel doesn't follow. He waits a respectful beat and then chooses a different vector. The room's noise returns to ordinary. Chairs, silver, quiet laughter that belongs to people who remembered how to enjoy each other again. Maya ends the stream with a final pan. The table where a storm sat, the staff resetting napkins, Leah's back as she heads to the service station because service never ends with applause. It ends with closing out and polishing glass. At the service station, Mr. Collins thanks Leah again and says if she's willing, he'll put her name forward for the hotel's leadership program. She considers the stack of tickets she still has to run and says yes, as long as it doesn't take her off the floor too much. He smiles because he understands the answer. She is promoted by the sentence and unchanged by it. Leah returns to the main table to collect the last glass. The ice is softened. The drink is untouched. She empties it into the spill bucket, wipes the ring it left as if taming a ghost, and looks up to find the room looking back with a kind of gentle pride. She doesn't bow. She nods, a practical acknowledgement, and says to the nearest guest that coffee will be out in 2 minutes. The guest thanks her like a person thanks another person. By the time the doors close behind the last tux, the night has righted itself. The floor gleams. The band packs cases. Staff laugh the kind of laughter that shakes off adrenaline. In the staff hallway, Leah pins her name tag back on the small square of cork where everyone keeps theirs, and for the first time all night she touches it, not like armor, but like a key. If this story touched you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more stories like this, and share it with a friend who needs a reminder that kindness always finds its way back. And tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching from tonight? I love seeing our community grow across every corner of the globe.